Hey guys, Nanakirti here, and today I'm with the TC crew again for another server tour. So here's TLH,
Hello.
and Red,
Hello.
and GS, who will not talk, OP. And we're gonna go ahead to where we're gonna start and what we're gonna show you. So we'll see you there. Okay guys, we're now here and we're at an iron farm. So this has been our little project. This has went through many designs, three actually. One fully concentric, two fully concentric, one like this. And I'll explain why we chose this one, why we went with this one, etc., etc. So the first reason that we didn't do fully concentric was the nether portal issue, and you need nether portals because there would be too many villagers in the holding cells to use the overworld, and it's actually a lot laggier because you have to have a permaloader running, which is really bad because flames also load chunks, so you're pretty much infinitely loading the nether whenever you're walking through. This is a bad thing. Now it also allows us to get less villagers as well. So we only have 100. And how is that? Is because we have 2 golem cages, and each golem cage can have 10 golems because there's 100 population villagers. And I will show you how this actually works in just a second. I'll go ahead and show you. Okay, so here you can see we used a little trick in the iron farm. We have the villagers, one set of villagers contributing to both villager caps, which raises the golem caps. So here we have 10 golems and locked them so they can't die or get out of the golem cage. No more will spawn here, so you can clearly see this, but they'll still spawn on this side. So yeah, that's villagers that can get to 2 villager cages or multiple villager cages, but have separate golem cages. The golem cages will each have the villager cap, so of 10 golems per cage. It could be the cage at once. And then you could also see up here, I'd use a little trick because you can't put the villagers close enough over on the red sandstone side. That's why we marked it out, so that they'll contribute to every single villager population and not register any of these doors on the sides. So we have to move them away from that side, which is the reset, the second one to reset actually. As you can see here, we have a double piston extender. We move them 2 blocks over here, which is as far as I can go over here without detecting doors. And then when we need them to go against the cage, so we need them to attribute to the villagers when the reset's done and that all the shutters are closed so they can't get any of the doors, we move them into a middle of a block, which you can see here. I'll show you on the other side exactly how I did this, so if you ever need to replicate it, you can, I guess. I don't know. I don't see why you'd ever need it, unless you're doing something this stupid. But I would not do that. So, yes. Center of the block, F3B. And they won't move. Even though they can technically go a little bit like this, they just, reliably, they won't. I watched them for like 5 hours. They stayed here.
You stared at it for 5 hours?
No, I just let them sit, just looked at them and said, oh, they're in the same place. Okay. So there are a couple problems with this farm. Number one, it doesn't run at 20 TPS. 2048 on any server will not run at 20 TPS with a player on, of course. I'm not just considering the farm being by itself. I mean, yeah, it would run at 20
Especially
TPS
if you
technically.
build it in the spawn chunks, by the way.
Yes, don't build it in spawn chunks. But it will not run at 20 TPS. There's no way. Yes. I think at around one player, I'm gonna count one player in, so you have spawning and all that for whatever that player. You run it at probably around 1280, which is where it's at now. 1280 villagers at 20. I think right now, even with all the people on the server, they're like 17 TPS. I think. Okay, so we are under the farm and the chunk loading, and I'm gonna describe this in a very blatant way. Basically, villages will load themselves. We take the chunks being loaded by the villages, we run them out and load all the other chunks around the farm so that they stay entity processing, the villages stay up, and it can build, but it needs to be on a permaloader. It will unload once every 45 seconds on the autosave, but the villages will reload them. And then it'll reload the hopper grid, so one tick. But that would break the farm. Okay.
See ya.
Also, something interesting, not really, it's kind of common these days, I guess, is that instead of using 2 sets of villagers, we did push them over. So we only need 1 set since each farm. The side with the regular sandstone resets first, and then the red sandstone is going to reset second. Now, back to the chunk loading. I'm going to hop around a little bit. Another little cool thing about this chunk loading is that even if the server restarts or a backup is pulled with the iron farm is built up and the chunk loading is on, it's not going to break, it's not going to be unloaded. It's the villages upon server when it's back up, it's gonna load the chunks and it's gonna activate the hopper loading grid, which is in turn going to keep them entity processing. And as long as the chunks don't unload for more than 60 seconds, so the doors, time for the doors to deregister, everything will be fine, and the iron farm will work as intended. We also technically don't have to keep these chunks loaded with the satellites even when it's fully built up, but it's it's negligible in lag, since it's in a perimeter anyways. And no one wants to do that redstone. Okay, guys,
Yep.
well, there wasn't really much to show other than a 2048, which in itself is pretty impressive. The only one built in survival, as far as I know, and the biggest farm built in survival, as far as I know. And I'll actually make a challenge right now to any other server. If you can beat us, we'll beat you again. So go for it. Above 2048, don't make it equal. Like, if you're gonna go for it, do the real deal. Hey guys, we'll have more to show you next time. We're working on another pretty massive project, so we'll probably actually have a server tour out pretty soon. But I hope you learned a little something about iron farms and chunk loading them, etc. And guys, we'll see you next time. Bye bye.
See ya, guys.
Bye.